Emma Watterson has 4 daughters. The eldest is 9 and the youngest is just 3. And it is the youngest, little Levi Rose, who we're talking about today because she has an extremely rare life-limiting illness. Emma, welcome to the programme. Thank you so much for being here. What is it that Levi has?
She has vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Okay, we're going to be finding out a little bit more about what that is, but when was she diagnosed?
She was actually diagnosed in September, but she was on a presumptive diagnosis for 18 months before that, and it's really rare that she was lucky to even get diagnosed, to be honest.
So this is an extremely rare condition. What exactly is it?
So it affects the collagen in the body, which is basically the glue that holds the body together, and it specifically affects the collagen 3, which is in all the tissue that stretches and pulls. So your heart, your lungs, your bowel, your esophagus, the lens of your eye, your muscles, and it makes them really, really weak, really, really weak. So they can rupture or tear very easily, very, very easily. It is life-limiting. Most people won't even know that they have it until their bowel might spontaneously rupture, or they have an aneurysm, or their lungs can collapse really young for no apparent reason. Yeah.
And so at what point did you realise that there was something seriously wrong with Levi?
So Levi was born with a club foot. I haven't had 4 girls before. I just knew there was something different about the way that she behaved. Just the things that were happening with her body weren't quite right. She was already attending Manchester Hospital for her club foot, and there was other symptoms coming up, like she bruised really, really easily. Her joints were really, really loose. Her thumbs, I don't think from the day she's born have ever stayed in all day. And through various different things that were going on medically, we ended up getting referred to a genetic clinic. And it was the Ehlers-Danlos was mentioned, and we were talking before, and when I looked into Ehlers-Danlos, and there was a club foot and it was under vascular type, and I knew it was. I knew from then she had everything that would suggest it would be that, but it took a while to get her diagnosed formally.
And, to look at her, I've seen photographs of her, and as you say, it's invisible. You wouldn't know there was anything wrong.
No, families live with it and have no idea, absolutely no idea. And then, people can present at the hospital relatively young with like a bowel rupture, and it just seems to be, the hospitals, because not enough is known about it. It's like it's an anomaly, or we don't really know why it's happened, but we've saved your life, hopefully, and on you go. But actually, it's this condition that causes it.
I mean, the impact on your family life must be huge.
Yeah, at the moment, the biggest struggle with her is that she's got chronic fatigue with the condition, which everyone thinks a 3-year-old's tired. You know what that's like, but she's tired from the minute she wakes up, and her behaviour is as such. And it's funny because we were talking about mental health before, and I was just thinking, I've started now implementing rest days with Levi where we don't go out at all. We just do the school run, that's it. And she's so much easier to manage because we're at home, and she's much calmer, and she's not doing as much. Life would be so much easier to do that, but it would send me a bit doolally, I think, to be honest. I can understand why carers don't bother to go out. It's so much effort, and there's so much that goes into it, that from the mental health thing that we were talking about before, that comes into it as well. It just completely impacts everything we do.
I mean, how do you begin to explain, though, to a 3-year-old that she can't do the things that I'm assuming, despite, the overwhelming fatigue she must feel, she wants to do?
Well, the trampoline, we had a big issue with the trampoline recently because she can't go on trampolines because she dislocates and her joints are so loose, and if she falls it can rupture her organs. The way I'm managing it at the moment is we either avoid everything, or the older girls can't go on anything. Her sisters are basically having to miss out in order for us to just not have to deal with that right now, because she doesn't know she can't do it because she's 3 and she wants to. So,
and I'm guessing again that your life must revolve around hospital appointments and things like that.
So Levi has just been referred to a 6th hospital. For the 5 of them are in the UK, 4 in Manchester, 1 in Sheffield. She attends Nobles, and I think we're at 21 different professionals that are involved that see her on a regular basis.
And what are the treatment options available?
So there's no treatment, there's no cure, it's just a management issue. So it's things like if a event did happen, if she did have a rupture, there's certain things the hospital cannot do, in the way that they treat it. They'd have to treat it differently to how they treat, say, you or I. So, for example, she can't be stitched the way that normal people would be stitched because the skin's really fragile, so the stitches can just tear, so they have to be done a little bit looser. Or with Levi, it looks like she might have Crohn's disease as well, but she can't have steroids because her skin's so thin. steroids thin the skin. Her skin's already thin, so it will just take the lining away completely.
Gosh, and you mentioned that she's, there's these hospitals in the UK that she's referred to as well. Does that mean that she has to travel to those hospitals? And if so, how on earth do you manage that?
You just have to. It's not, I don't have a choice. We do travel. We travel to them all. We just have to travel, and we just have to do it, and we just have to make it work. And I try and do, sometimes I can get this morning school run done, jump on the plane, come back and just about do the afternoon school run. Or I get friends to just sort of have them briefly before or after school, or the grandparents do help out if I have to stay overnight.
And presumably you have to go out of your way in those situations to, again, sort of protect her and keep her safe.
We've had trouble, not this side with the airport, but with the airport on the other side, because I was saying her wheelchair at the moment is more like a really big buggy, and they don't see it as a mobility aid, they see it as a buggy, and they try and demand that I take her out of it, and it's like, for your best interest as well as mine, she needs to be contained and in a safe spot. But it's tiring. It's really, really, really tiring, the travelling on her, because it's tiring for anyone, isn't it, really?
And you're saying as well that along with that, there does come a certain element of discrimination and judgment from people because, of course, as you said, you can't necessarily tell that she has this illness. And so do you have people who just sort of try and dismiss it? And
general population, yeah. Even with professionals, we've had professionals before that have raised concerns about her bruising, and I'm like, it's part of a condition, and they're like, well, we're not so sure, and they've had to have other professionals say, no, it really is part of the condition. But even just general, with public, you do, and her behaviour at the moment, especially come the afternoon when she's really tired, people are like, oh, she's grumpy, oh, you're not happy today, and it's like, she's actually fatigued, like she's absolutely knackered. She's not behaving, but she's got a lot going on. It's not just a naughty child.
And I suppose the difficulty with that as well, with her only being 3, is she can't really express what she's feeling very well, I'd imagine.
She can express it, just not very well. She does it in her own unique, loud style.
So you've had to sort of learn to interpret that.
She can talk, but she just gets really angry and she gets really frustrated because she wants to be able to do things, but you just know, if I let her out, say come the afternoon when I know she's tired, it's like, right, she'll want to get out of her wheelchair. It's like, no, you need to stay in it. If we do let her out, I just know she's going to fall, and if she falls, then we run the risk of her really injuring herself. Her knees dislocate when she walks, so the more tired she gets, the more her knees dislocate because she's not concentrating properly, and then the more she has bruises, and then the more I'm worried about her bruises. So it's just a circle, really.
I just can't imagine what it's like to live with that, Emma, because emotionally it sounds she is very much a 3-year-old, but physically you have to contain her and literally wrap her in cotton wool all the time.
That was the recommendation that with Jared and Sarah with Annabelle's challenge. That's what the doctor said to them. You need to wrap her up in cotton wool and bubble wrap. And you can, to a degree, like at home, she has free rein. You'll see her climbing on the tables. You might see her in the windowsills. We're at home. She knows her environment. It's when we go to places she doesn't necessarily know that she just can't focus on what she's doing. Or if we go to like an event and it's busy, even just the park, if there's a noise or something, she just falls because something will catch her attention and her knees go. Almost always. I mean, she went down the slide on Sunday at the park and she just stopped at the bottom of the park and just lay there. I'm tired. Like, you need to get off, and she just lay at the bottom of the slide. I'm really, really tired. And then other people are looking and it's like, no, you need to get up.
Do you know, I'm really ashamed to say I'd actually never heard of this condition until you got in touch with us. But there is an awareness day, and that is this Friday. What's happening over here for that?
So this Friday, Reds for Veds, it's in its 4th year. And it's more of an awareness campaign than a fundraiser, and it's wear red and share a photo with the hashtag Reds for Veds. But we've got the Tower of Refuge being lit up red, the Pulrose Power Station, Port Erin Commissioners are lighting up the lights down Port Erin, Scolfert Lamora are getting involved in doing some stuff because the girls go to that school. I think the Sound Cafe are doing it as well. I'm going to miss someone out, I know I am. Selton Manx.
Selton Manx,
yeah, they're lighting up red, and I'm not sure that Microgamer might be as well. I'm trying to remember.
We've got time before the end of the programme, so don't worry at all if you've missed anybody out. And you mentioned the mental health side of this, and it just so happened that we organised this interview during Mental Health Awareness Week. I just wonder, from your point of view, as a mother who'd had 3 children, all growing very normally, to be faced with this diagnosis, how on earth do you begin to cope with that?
It's not a choice. that cliche saying you see all over social media of you don't know you're strong until something happens, and you just don't. You have no choice. It's not an option. I can't have a day off. I've got 4 children to look after, and it's stressful. And there's some days where you'll just burst into tears for no apparent reason, and you'll get really frustrated. But then you have to sort of think, do you know what, this could be the last day that I have with her, so let's start again. That kind of keeps me grounded a little bit, but it's really, really, really hard. It's just exhausting.
You mentioned Annabelle's challenge, and I think the friendship that you found from the very few other people going through similar experiences has been hugely beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, Jared and Sarah and their little girl Annabelle, Levi is like a little mini Annabelle. The way they look so alike, it's unreal, because there are facial features, characteristics to the condition, but they're more like family. I mean, we have to speak to them most days, to be honest, just about all sorts of what's happening with the charity, because I'm doing quite a bit of stuff over here, but a bit limited on what fundraising we can do at the moment because we're not Manx registered, so we'll see what's happening with that.